Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back to another episode of Wine on an Empty Stomach, a speculative fiction book club brought to you by us, the ladies of A Thousand Eyes and One. I am Tanya,
I'm Nikki.
and today we're talking about The Chilling Effect. Oh, no, not The Chilling Effect, just
Chilling
Chilling
effect.
Effect by Valerie Valdes. It's a space opera. We haven't done any space stories yet. We
Mhm.
haven't done any like straight up sci-fi, I think, yet, have we?
No, I don't think we have.
Yeah, I think this is the first one. So, to start, what did you think, Nikki?
Hold on one second. I just my brother asked me when I said this was a space opera. He was like, "What is a space opera?" So I just wanted to Google a definition, and
Oh,
I was
okay, yeah,
telling
that's a
him
good idea.
it's a novel, movie, or television program set in outer space, typically simplistic and melodramatic nature. And I think this hits all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, what my first feeling after reading this was, man, this should be a TV show
I would
because
absolutely watch it.
it felt like multiple episodes.
Hmm. The
Um,
episodic nature, I think, kept it really fresh and interesting because just when you
mhm.
thought, I won't skip to the end per se, but one of the things that I noticed about this was that unlike some other things that we've read, that feel like they speed to the end, like there were so many points where this book could have ended and it just kept going, but it was like I was excited that it kept going. It didn't feel like it was prolonged in any way. I felt like when it finally did come to an end, I was really satisfied because everything had been kind of like touched on and nailed
And it
into
was
place.
like it felt like multiple stories
Hmm.
because you have the main story. Eva needs to find her sister and save her from the fridge, which is like this mafia like space gang. So we have that. But then the fridge sends her on multiple adventures. So it's like each episode is each adventure. Like pick up the scientist, go to this
Hmm.
place with the parasite aliens. You know, it's
Oh
like
my
all
god.
these it's like all these
Yeah.
different episodes. It was like watching like old school Star Trek almost.
Hmm. Yeah, it did feel like that. It's like very like very mission driven. Like
Hmm.
every time you thought that they couldn't get it and like something couldn't happen or like they've reached like the max of ridiculousness, something else even more ridiculous happens and sends her
Right.
like in a completely different direction.
Do you want to talk about the missions first? Or do you want to talk about just the characters first?
Let's talk about the characters.
Okay. First character I want to talk about because it took me reading about the book to even realize this. Pink, I did not pick up on my first or second read that Pink is trans.
I didn't either.
It
You just
wasn't
blew my
until
mind.
late last night I was reading about the book as like
Uh-huh.
I was, taking notes for today, and it was a website. It was an article written by a trans woman about Pink being trans and how it's just like normal. We're in a future where it's really not a big deal. And I'm like, I don't remember that. And so I went all the way back to the beginning. And when Pink is first being introduced to us, she's synthesizing
Hmm.
her own hormones. But it's such a fleeting thing. Yeah, she's like, after I'm done making my
Oh,
hormones, I'll do, blah, blah, blah. And like
I missed that
I missed
completely.
it twice. It took me the third time to realize what she was talking about when she said she was making her hormones. And the author, Valerie Valdez, confirmed it. Pink is a Black trans woman,
Wow. Now I love this book even more.
right? Because I remember one of the things we had talked about with N.K. Jemisin is writing in characters that are from all different, walks of life, but making it
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
normal, where it's not about that character's pain. Like none of this was about Pink struggling with being trans or Pink
Right.
being embarrassed and it reveals that she's trans or anything like that. It's just okay, Pink's trans, so what? Just
Yeah.
like Pink's black.
It's just a
Okay.
fact. It's just, exactly. It just
Yeah.
is.
So I thought that was really cool. That was something that was really cool. And I like when characters like that are put in and it's not pandery, it just feels natural
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
reflects just the world how it should be.
Hmm. You
It
got to
shouldn't be
focus on her being a badass space doctor.
Right,
instead.
with her cybernetic
Yeah,
eye instead of
I love
worrying
that.
about like, her genitalia or like, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
and I mean, I don't know how I've read multiple stories, mostly fantasy with current fantasy like with trans characters in it. But I
Hmm.
feel like on TV when you have a trans character, it's often either a joke or it's about their suffering or you know, about their transness, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right.
And here we have someone who is just another part of who she is, and it's really not a big deal. And that's kind of, it's refreshing. I can't speak for any trans people,
Yeah.
obviously, but to have it not be a big deal and just to be like, yes, she's just another person, just like everybody else on the crew. And she's not like an alien, she's
Hmm.
a human black trans woman, and that just is who she is. And anyway, so yeah,
Yeah. Well,
she's
you know
we
what that
find out
reminds
because
me
she's
of?
uh-huh.
It's because I recently rewatched the Matrix series and I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I didn't realize until I was speaking to a colleague at work that the Wachowski sisters have confirmed that the Matrix is like a transgender allegory, and I
Yes.
was like, whoa! And I watched it again. I was like, oh my gosh! But they had a character, I forgot who the character's name, who they wanted to present as trans, like in the Matrix they appeared one way, and in the real world they appeared a different way. But the directors thought that the production house at the time, that they wouldn't, like, the audience wasn't ready for it, and so
Whack.
they just made that person one. I have to look and see who which character it was.
Yeah, I found that out pretty recently too.
Yeah,
That's again, it's not
so
something I
cool.
picked up on myself.
Hmm. But my trans friends were just like, how did you not know? And I was like, I didn't
Uh,
know. Yeah, it was amazing.
yeah,
So.
yeah, but so when Pink mentioned synthesizing her hormones, like I didn't even put it together. And I feel like if someone who is trans probably picked that up right away and was like, "Wait, she's
Hmm.
doing what?" But I
Yeah.
so I didn't pick up on that, but I thought that was pretty cool. So that's Pink, the black doctor with the cybernetic eye,
Hmm.
space doctor. She was pretty cool. Obviously, we have our captain Eva Inocente, who swears at us in Spanish all the time.
I had definitely had to Google to see what she was saying.
So some of it I understood, but not all of it. Like sin vergüenza, I could never remember what that meant, and then I looked it up and it said scoundrel, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I've heard come mierda like 1,000 times, so I knew that one. So,
Yeah.
what else?
I feel like we can save a little more of Ava for the last, because she's obviously like the main
Yeah,
character,
yeah.
right? And then she's got her whole crew, Vakar, who's a Kunian. And I still haven't figured out exactly in my mind what that looks like. I've
Me
been trying
neither.
to, like,
And it
multiple eyelids that like close over, and like blue eyes, and like
said he
palps, and
was like
yeah.
pangolin like skin or something like that.
Yeah.
That was hard
Very
to picture
interesting.
for me. I'm not good
Me
at
too.
imagining aliens. You have to just straight up show them to me. And like every time she mentioned his four-fingered claws or four clawed hands rather,
Yeah.
I was like,
I was
ugh,
just like, what
claws.
does that I okay.
Like what kind
Yeah.
of claws?
Yeah. And he's her engineer who she rescued, saved from a fight once upon a time. And love
His
interest.
hallucinogenic skin.
I love that. Yeah,
She
and her,
licked
yeah,
his
so her
face and started
engineer,
tripping.
but with like a mysterious background. He's able to do things that she just doesn't think most engineers would be able to do.
Mainly fight.
He's great in combat. Great in combat. Let's see. Then we have
Lynn,
Min.
the pilot.
Oh, the ship, the pilot of the ship, which reminds me of oh my gosh, I can't remember. Hold on, it'll come back to me. There's another sci-fi book that I read recently, and it talks about people who are like integrated into their ships,
Hmm.
and have like are able to control many different bodies. It also reminds me a little bit of the ship in Binti.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's like a sentient machine.
You know what else has sentient ships that I want us to eventually talk about? Um, the first book from Lilith's Brood, Dawn,
Oh, I
by
haven't read that
Octavia
yet.
by Octavia Butler. That's
Hmm. It's on
actually
my
on my
list.
list. Yeah, I
Yeah.
read it. I read it before, but that was on my list for us to add. That was what I was texting you about last
Mm.
night.
Oh, yeah, we can. Well, yeah,
Yes,
we
that
can
also
do that
has
for next year.
sentient ships, which is
Excuse me.
a cool concept.
Hmm.
And then we have Leroy, the ex mercenary, corporate mercenary, which was interesting. Kind of sounded a little U.S. Army ish.
Just a
When you
tad.
talk about the corporate mercenary, who's they, I guess, mind control them in a way,
Yes, yes. Hmm.
and he has severe PTSD and anger issues and nightmares, and no ship will have him. Let me add this. Farscape. I have not read
I
Farscape.
love Farscape. One more for the list. Let me write that
I'm
down.
adding that to my list as well.
Okay. Oh, these book lists, man.
It's never ending.
I love it.
I know. I have no more room. I mean, my husband's gonna
I
leave me.
know. I looked at my bookshelf and I was like, oh, what do we get? I guess I have to get another one. I have to figure that out soon. Yeah. The Pink Leroy Men. And then I think that's, oh, then we've got the cats.
The psychic cats.
The psychic cats who, the book starts with a mission that they're supposed to deliver these cats and then they get to their destination and the deal has fallen. Well, we find out from Eva's, was that her uncle? Was Pete that she's dealing with the delivery or was it
Pete's
her?
her dad. Tito.
Pete or
Tito, her old
Tito?
boss. It was Tito, her
Yeah.
old boss.
Yeah.
That's sinvergüenza.
You find that the deal has fallen through and they have to like figure out what to do with these psychic cats. And I like when the book is opening, they're like collecting them all and trying to find them out because they're basically trying to take over the ship and go
And
where
there's
they want to
the
go.
main cat leader named Mala, which means bad.
Hmm.
And I will say my one complaint is I wish that the cats had played a part. I mean, it's kind of going to the end. Eva at some
Hmm.
point loses her ship and has to get it back. I was hoping that the cats would actually play a part in her missions,
Hmm.
and step in and do stuff. But who knows? Maybe in the second book, which I have not read
Yeah.
yet, Prime Deception,
Oh,
it's
that's what I was
called.
going to say. I haven't seen it. I haven't. Keep seeing it pop up on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I bought it, but I haven't read it yet. Prime Deceptions, I think it's called.
Yeah, I need to
But
only
yeah,
see
I
the
was.
cat that one time where they like she comes back to the ship and they've subdued the people who were coming
Yeah,
in to get
yeah,
Picard's sister.
yeah. I would have liked just a little bit more action with the
Cat
psychic
action.
cats. Yeah, a little more cat
Yeah.
action. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and listening to the audiobook too was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
And
found it to be one of my favorite audiobook listening experiences. Like the
yeah,
other ones are kind of just like go on, but it was like very exciting. Very exciting, and I feel like I got to know the character better hearing her speak in her like in her own voice.
hmm I also enjoy what I've seen a lot of bilingual or multilingual authors do is just throw in words from another language without explaining it to us,
Hmm.
and just throw it in
Yeah,
because that's just how she would talk.
exactly. That's why I was like,
And
okay, I'll look it up because I don't know. But yeah,
yeah,
it just made it made it feel like authentic, right?
yeah. I mean, some of it I did have to look up. I once upon a time was really good at speaking Spanish, but you don't use it, you lose it, and I lost it. Um, so some of it was like I was like, wait a minute, I know what that means, and then some of it I was like, let me just Google that real quick. But it was cool because like you said, it feels authentic. That's how multilingual
Hmm.
people talk, and I'm happy to see more authors just going for it and not doing a
Hmm.
whole explanation of like, because
Oh
then it's like,
yeah,
well, who is this for? Like, is it? I don't know. Don't explain it.
yeah.
Just do it.
Just keep it moving.
Yeah, we'll figure
Yeah,
it out.
that put the responsibility on us as a reader to learn a little bit of something outside of our normal world, and I like that that's what was happening.
Hmm hmm So, want to talk about these missions? What do you have in your notes?
Um, has nothing to do with any of that. It just has a list of character names, and then I have an overarching thesis. uh, but I will say that so Eva, they're after they get screwed on this mission, they're in, what's the name of the base? I forgot.
The first one where she
The space
meets
station, yeah, the space station where
glorious
she
apotheosis.
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 Well, yeah, well, I guess a couple
Yeah,
things
I
happen,
can't say
right?
that.
Apotheosis is my favorite word in the English language, actually.
Apotheosis. That's okay.
Hmm. Um, and so she's going to blow off steam because she finds out not only is she getting screwed on this mission, like with the cat delivery, she also finds out that her sister has been kidnapped by Tets has been kidnapped by the crime syndicate known as the Fridge, and they're holding her hostage, and that now she's going to basically have to work for them. And while she's trying to digest that, she goes to a bar, has a drink, and gets hit on by somebody named the Glorious Apotheosis. Who? What did he say exactly to her? Because it was hilarious, and I literally laughed out
it
loud.
like oh, crap. Hold on, I have to
Just
pull it
like, I
up.
want to rub my whatever's on your. It was so funny that I stopped and I put my Kindle down. I just laughed. And then I kept reading because I was like, I didn't see that coming at all. But basically he wants to recruit Ava into his harem, and tells him, she tells him where to go and leaves. Come to find out that he's a very powerful person in, the multiverse. And
Right.
he doesn't take no for an answer. And so off Ava goes into like an evasive mission of running away from the glorious apotheosis while also trying to figure out how to, get her crew on board for a mission that she can't tell them anything about, because if she
Right.
mentions it to it, they will kill her sister or send her to an asteroid
Mine, I
to
think.
mine asteroids.
Yeah. Oh, really quick from Alicia about languages. Translations at the end of the chapters usually work best for fan fiction. Hmm.
Mm.
That's actually, yeah, that makes sense. If you don't want to look it
Oh,
up.
he's so extra.
Yeah, it's like this is just one person. He has a harem, apparently, and he really wants to add her to it. And he goes through all of this to the point where he's willing to explode an entire planet because she told him
Hmm.
no.
Yeah. It's like just
Extra
one
is
more
like
thing
not
that
even
she needed.
enough. Yeah. Yeah. And throughout the book, he just keeps popping up at the
He
most
keeps showing
inopportune
up.
times. And it's like,
It's
bro,
like,
this is what you spend your resources on? Like, how rich
he
is your
can't,
planet?
because
Are the
he's
people
just that
eating?
rich. I really like that. I like that. It reminds me of in like Avatar: Last Airbender, where they keep running into the guy with the cabbages, and they're like every time he's like getting it together, he's trying to sell them or whatever, they like run into him, like destroy all his. He's like, my cabbages, like throughout the entire series. And this was like a similar thing. He like always is popping up at like. She said that's Diva Karen level extra. Yeah, it's about there. That's like that's like much
Yeah, I
closer to
mean,
what he's really
he's
like.
clearly never been told no, and he's clearly never been humiliated because she didn't just tell him no, she humiliated him.
Yeah,
And, he just
yeah, he couldn't
basically,
let that slide.
no, he couldn't
Because
let it
everybody else,
slide.
like, it seemed like she was the only one who didn't know who he was. Like
Hmm.
that's where he was operating. Like, because every time she mentioned who he was to someone else, everybody was like, "Oh shit,
And the
you did
mistake of
what?"
telling him her real name,
Yeah,
that really
yeah.
screwed her over. But
Life
again, she
lesson:
didn't know who
never
she
give your real
was.
name in a bar.
Yeah, she's like, "First of all, bitch, I'm Captain Eva Inocente." And then he's
Yeah.
like, then it's like, "Ah, shit, now he knows who I am, and now he's just
Hmm.
following me everywhere."
Yeah.
Yeah, his that mission, I mean, not mission, that what do I call it? Episode? I don't
Hmm.
know. uh, that was funny and also scary, because we get the
Yeah. The
whole
lengths he was willing to
toxic
go to
Max.
get his way. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. All just to add just another woman to his harem. That's it.
Yeah. He
Like
like showing him. So you will service me, you human. You're like, what? How? Go away. Why are
and
you
the way
still
he's
chasing me?
described, he's like an anglerfish. Like,
Ah,
oh,
yeah, so great.
yeah,
Yeah, I like
glorious
him like always like
apotheosis.
showing up at the most random times, just being like, "What the fuck? This too?"
Again, like,
Yeah,
yeah, no, that was great. And I mean, again, and like you again, not like her mentioning it again. I enjoyed
yeah,
him because you kind of
yeah,
forget about him, and then you're
yeah. You
doing
totally
something
do.
else, and then there he is.
yeah, in the middle of another mission, he shows up right as she's about to like complete a mission or something. And you're like, oh my God, we've been stressed out about like what's been happening. And now she's about to get on her ship, and suddenly he's back again, like with his brigade of fighters. And you're like, where did you come from? How did you find out I was here?
Like,
Um,
how does his army feel, like, having to do this fight? Like, that's gotta be
you
so
know,
frustrating.
so funny. Yeah.
Um,
So yeah,
okay.
that's glorious apotheosis. But yeah, Eva's basically trying to figure out how to, like, she's basically the organization called the Fridge has said that unless she cooperates, she's in, they're gonna send her sister to asteroid mine, and that she has to work off the debt that they decided that she owes them.
And the
Um,
missions start off simple enough, right? The first mission
Pretty
is to drop
tame.
off Miles Irk, the scientist. Well,
Well,
actually,
actually, just oh man,
and
that was that
it seemed
so
simple
annoying.
enough. Just like,
Hmm.
okay, yes, the well actually guy, super annoying. Well, actually, well, actually, and it's like, oh my,
Yeah.
and that causes Leroy to spin out and come. They
Hmm.
have to subdue him, and that's when you realize how bad Leroy's anger really is, because you know they have to basically fight him and also give him a tranquilizer just to get him to
Yeah.
relax. And
Hmm.
you see really quickly, like when she says he has an anger problem, like that doesn't even explain it fully.
Exactly. It's
He
not until
basically
later in the
turns into
book.
like the Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't really understand the extent of his anger until she says that he won't even go visit his family
Because
because
he's
he
afraid to
feels
hurt them.
safer. Yeah, he's
Hmm.
safer. He feels it's safer for them to be far away, which is really sad.
It is really sad, and all because of his past as, this mercenary. And he's obsessed with the show, The Crash Sisters, which is sounded like almost like a WWF type wrestling,
Hmm.
whatever show. Um,
Oh, wait. Hold on a second. I almost accidentally updated my computer. I
oh
was like,
no.
ah,
Don't
whoops.
do that.
No, dismiss. Um, yeah. I liked all the characters in her crew. Like Min was just so like very like I see her like little like young tech person who is the ship, and she's like really cool because
She was a
she can
bot
she
fighter.
can hear. She was a bot fighter, and she can also like she knows what's happening everywhere. So sometimes you hear her voice coming through the ship system. Sometimes she's talking in person, um, and she's basically like their pilot who loves the little cats and is just trying to like just happy to like have the home on the ship. Hmm.
Did we miss anyone? No, that's the
I
whole
don't
crew.
think so. That's
Pink,
the
Ava,
crew.
Vakarman, and Leroy. That's the main crew.
Her
So
her family.
the problem, one of the big problems is with Ava has to lie to her crew because she doesn't want the Fridge to hurt her sister, and it's everything's supposed to be secret. And her whole thing
Hmm.
is came from she came from a crew where she was lied to. Tito, her former
Hmm.
boss, where they were lied to. They did things that she didn't agree with, that she, I guess, morally were wrong to her,
Yeah.
and didn't want to be that kind of captain. But now here she is in the same, not in the same, here she is in a position where she is lying to her crew about these
And then
jobs.
and yeah, and struggling with it too because like when she first finds out, she's like, oh wait, what am I gonna do? I don't want to lie to them. I'm gonna have to fire them and pick up a
Right,
whole new crew.
right.
And so that for the
And
first couple of missions, she's going back and forth, like, well, should I just for their it's in their best interest that I get rid of them, but how do I get rid of these people who have basically become a second family to me? Like, do I lie to them and keep them on and keep them in danger, or do I get rid of them for their own safety?
right. And as the missions get more and more dangerous, it's harder and harder to keep the truth from them, because there needs to be an explanation for why we're doing these dangerous
What are we
missions.
doing these crazy things for? Like they go to a planet and Lyra gets a parasite and gets
That was
indoctrinated into
creepy.
some creepy religion or these
That was
parasites who
super
make
creepy.
alcohol.
Yeah, they make
Oh
some
man.
crazy booze. There's like these monks, and they put this parasite on the back of your neck, and it starts talking to you inside your head and wants to indoctrinate you into their, I don't know, is it a religion?
I don't know.
Just a belief
It was
system,
weird.
something.
Yeah. Just like
It
to
was like, it
instigate
sounded
their
like a
little thing.
cult.
It did. It did very. It did. Like I said, they basically attach them to them and they walk them to the room and the door closes and they're in this dark cavern and they're just basically meant to stay there until they've given themselves over to the way of the parasite. Um,
And they make it sound like a choice, but it's not really a choice.
yeah, yeah.
It's like you can either stay in this cavern forever or you can submit.
Hmm. Oh, and yeah, oh, so dangerous, especially going in knowing that Leroy was already, suggestible because
Hmm.
of his training and his past experiences. Uh, so yeah, oof, man, is it putting them all in danger? And it's so. What I really like about her is that she's constantly having to face. Some characters don't ever see the consequences of their actions, and she's
Oh, she
constantly
absolutely
having
is
to face the
always.
consequences of, like, every decision. Like, karma is quick for her. Every time she makes a decision, like, there's an equal and opposite reaction to it, and she has to um, just constantly be accountable to herself, and that's part of my favorite thing about her.
Yeah. And also, you see sometimes her hypocrisy. She gets angry at being lied to and about being
Hmm.
put into situations, and then she turns around and does the same thing. But she also recognizes it and feels bad about it.
Hmm.
Um, like forwarding to the end where she finds out more about Bakar's background. She's really angry at him for manipulating her and for lying to her, and then she's like, "Oh wait, I did the same thing to him."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what makes you felt you had good reasons? Well, maybe he felt he had good reasons too.
Hmm. Yeah. She has to give everybody the same. It's like, treat the golden rule: treat others as you like to be treated, and that's a lesson that she's always learning too.
You know what was the weirdest mission to me that was really funny? When she had to go to that place with the what are they called? Todics?
With
The
the
dinosaurs
conics.
basically, it sounded like.
Yeah.
And
Oh
they're
my
going through
god.
this whole like melodramatic soap
Yeah,
opera,
she's
like
supposed to go kidnap one of these dinosaurs, one of the Todics, and bring them to some other place for the fridge. It's one of her missions, and so it's already dangerous because she's on a planet with dinosaurs.
Mhm.
Um, but then she has to kidnap one, and as she's going to kidnap, she like finds out that there's this, like, they're in this middle
It's
of
like a
this
love
drama. There's four of
triangle.
them, and there's.
It's yeah, it starts off as a love triangle. And then there's
Mhm.
just like the sudden turn where he's like, I'm not in love with either of you. I'm in love with him. And it's like, what the fuck? She's just watching it like, what the fuck is happening right
Yeah,
now? Like
it
it's a
was so
T-Rex
funny.
love triangle.
It
It's like
was
one
that
it's
was
one of
that's
the
my favorite
reasons.
ones too.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I would love to see it on screen, even animated. That would
So yeah,
this would be really fun as an animated adult animated show. Like
absolutely. It's so funny. There's so
um
many things. Oh,
that was by far like the silliest of missions because like just because of what she encountered because ended up not even being able to kidnap one and it
yeah,
caused a
right.
lot of problems for her.
That basically, it's like a matter of her drawing the line. Like, where do I, where am I making my own decisions, and where do I become the thing that I'm actually trying to fight against?
Hmm.
Um, and she does make a comment. She's like, "Well, I draw the line. Apparently, I draw the line at dinosaur sex, right?" Because she's like, it turns, like, yes, it gets weird, guys.
It gets really
It
weird.
gets weird.
There's dinosaur
Um,
sex.
there's yeah,
They're doing positions she didn't think was possible for them.
yeah, yeah, and how energetic they were. She's like, "Oh, and my, are they energetic?" Um, yeah, but she has to like decide, like, am I going to be part of, this evil crime syndicate, or am I going to do the things that I need to do, and like do what I know to be right? Because it's that moment where she's like realizing that she I know, Alicia. It's that moment where she realizes how she feels about, her crew member.
So
Let's
Nikki
talk about
knows.
Quinians.
Oh, okay. Oh
Go
wait,
ahead.
before you say, I was gonna
Yeah.
say Nikki knows how much I hate forced love stories. I don't even like love stories in general. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm bitter. I don't know. Am I bitter? No, I love love,
Oh, I
but
don't think
I
so.
hate
You
love
just, like, if it
stories
was
sometimes.
if it was well written love, maybe, but
Yeah. And
yeah.
I feel like in a lot of stories, um, there's always like some love connection that's like shoehorned in, and it always annoys me. And in this story, there is a love connection, but it didn't feel that way.
Hmm.
It made sense. And there wasn't that like obnoxious pining
Yeah.
that I've come across, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot in stories where it's like these two people didn't need to be in love. They could have been
The
crew
story would have
members who
gone
care about
just
each
fine like
other.
without it. Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah.
feel like there's been a few where I was
You
just
know
kind
what
of
it
like,
is that we're against love stories as a plot driving plot point when
yeah,
it could have happened without it. Like the girl does not need to fall in love with the guy to realize that A B C D E F G and come into her power.
right. I'm just kind of
No,
like, ugh, now she's in
no,
love and now she's pining. And then it's
not yeah.
like, you know, and I hate reading through pages of what someone's kiss felt like. Like I'm not a romance novel reader. No knock to anybody who's into that. I'm just not.
Yeah.
And so when I'm reading a non-romance novel and then I have 2 pages of what his touch felt like, I'm just like, skip. Like, is any of this pertinent to the plot? No.
Yeah.
Okay, let's fast forward. Like if I wanted that, I'd read romance novels, and I don't read
Hmm.
romance novels. Um,
Yeah.
I
I
was
feel like
recently
it's something that
reading.
happens a lot in YA.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was recently reading the Grishaverse, Shadow and Bone, and
Hmm.
what's the second one called? I forgot what the second one's called. And you know, the main character and her love interest. There's so much of them pining after each other and then miscommunicating and then falling out and then pining some more and then there's jealousy and then they're kissing and there's 2 pages of what his kiss felt like and how her body's on fire, and I'm just like,
Oh gosh.
none of this has anything to do with what we need to be getting to. Like, you guys are kissing and we got things to accomplish right now
Yeah,
that
where's
could
the
move
artifact?
forward.
Who's watching that while you guys are
Yeah.
making out? Can we just
Right.
move on to like everybody's gonna die? Like,
And it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like a distraction because I feel like it could have worked just as well saying, wow, we've known each other for this long. And because of that, we have a connection without it being,
exactly.
without
Exactly.
throwing in being jealous because he made out with somebody else. So in,
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
yeah, dude. Oh my God,
So
yeah.
in
I
this
mean, unless it's
story
a
though,
genre.
right,
Yeah.
unless it's the genre, which, you know, I'm purposely not reading that genre because it's just not what I was looking for. But in this story, that's not the case. I feel
Yeah.
like it felt very natural the way it worked out. And also there wasn't too much time spent on uh the actual act of them getting together.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
She
okay,
was
we
like,
know.
fill in the blanks for yourself. This is interspecies
Right. And
sex.
I yeah.
Here you go.
And but I appreciated that. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I didn't need any sex position. You know, like, let's, you know, and it made sense. And it starts from the very beginning too.
Oh,
That
yeah. I do
tension
love
there
that
is from the
about
very
it.
beginning.
Yeah. It's established from the very beginning because the interesting thing about Koreans is that they convey their emotions through smell and sense. So if a car is constantly giving up out off all these smells, like they smell like incense or like a fires
Or
when they're
exhaust.
suspicious, right? Or when they're mad and they like cut grass when he's embarrassed or like there's all these
Yeah.
different, which is I thought was super fun,
Yeah.
a super fun way of communicating emotions. And so she
Yeah.
spends a lot of time trying to figure out like what his smells means.
Because
Although she was
she
being
has sent
shady about it.
translators. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, she has sent translators installed just because of him.
Just because of him. Yeah.
And it cannot translate the scent of licorice. He keeps smelling like licorice or candy in general, and she cannot,
Hmm.
the translators can't place it. So she doesn't know how he feels. And it's, you know, and then for him, he has no idea how she feels because she doesn't give off different scents to
Yeah.
convey her feelings, and
You get a
humans
lot of
lie.
awkwardness.
Yeah, and he doesn't always understand what, you know, her motives and what she's trying to convey because she also just lies and is
Hmm.
trying really hard not to feel anything. But, you know, they're two characters who obviously care about each other, and it was nice. It wasn't
Yeah. It
it
wasn't
wasn't,
forced.
yeah, it didn't feel forced, and it wasn't there wasn't too much time spent on it. There was enough time spent on it
Hmm.
where it's part of the story and it's part of both of their development as characters, and not just, well, we need someone to be in love, because that's annoying.
Oh, what? Yeah, no. If we want romance, we'll read that. We'll read that genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part. It's one of the things that like is that was annoying to me a little bit about Amari and the Night Brothers. Like, oh, she's falling in love with I forgot his name. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and that's why she feels so betrayed.
And also,
Um,
also yeah, in so many of the books you read, there's like someone just randomly falls in love with like an adversary, and I'm just kind of tired of that trope.
yeah,
I'm ready to
we could do
move.
something. We could do better, guys.
Yeah, if it feels like it's moving that way and it works naturally, then yeah. But sometimes it's really forced, and that's when it's just kind of like, ugh. And also like we don't need 2 pages of what the sex was like, or what the kissing was like. Like we don't, you know. It's like
Yeah,
George, which is like 4 pages of the feast. You know, it's like, although I do enjoy the four
I do.
pages of
I do.
feast,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not really necessary. You know, it's
Hmm.
now we've gone on for too long, and
Yeah.
it's
What else was happening while you're telling me about this?
yeah. Unless there's like hints in there about something else,
Hmm.
some Frey pie shit. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, Ava and Bakar go on adventures together, and they're trying to figure each other out. But in the meantime, she's trying to figure out how to stay alive and to keep like fulfilling these missions. Which she succeeds with the first one, but then there start to be hiccups with like the ones that come down the list, and she's constantly having to decide, is this worth it?
Like that planet where you have to carry
We want to
the
read your
card.
erotica. That's genre specific, Alicia.
Yeah, see, okay,
Drop a
if I'm
link.
going,
Drop a link.
drop the link, Alicia. If we go into it knowing it's erotica, well then yeah, I'm expecting 6 pages of throbbing members and shit, you know? But like if I'm just reading if I'm just reading some other shit and then all of a sudden I'm, it's paragraph after paragraph of someone's kiss, I'm like, how did we get here? You know?
Hmm.
So yeah, no, absolutely drop your erotica. If I'm in there for it, then yeah,
Yeah,
give it to me.
that's why I'm
But
here.
yeah,
Why do
it's
you think I came
exactly
all this way?
right. What you mean you ain't nasty? Why the fuck you came? So there's that planet where you have to carry the card to prove you're sentient because they will hunt you for
Oh,
meat.
they will hunt you for meat.
And they're
I think
tricky
that was the
little
scariest.
sinvergüenzas because they will
Oh,
pickpocket you or sabotage your
hmm.
card just so they can
Yeah,
hunt you for meat.
self-destructing cards so they can hunt you. Like, okay, not everybody gets the pass that like disappears, but there's there's that moment where they've like they think they've secured the whatever it is that they're supposed to pick up there, and then uh the car starts looking for his card, and she
Mhm.
says he smells like farts or something, and he just was like his face is just that look that when you reach into your pocket and your Metro card's not there or whatever, you're just like,
Except this time, if you don't have your Metro card, they can hunt you for meat.
they can hunt you for meat. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That I feel like that was the scariest mission because I have like a really irrational fear of being eaten by something else. And I can just like, oh God, no. Like
You know,
hunted and just like everybody's like so game. And they have sensors in place for when it for like basically
if you
like say like passport controls, like if you drove through and you don't have your card on it, it activates alarms and then that alerts people that you're fair game, literally.
mhm. And
Whew.
she so when Vakara loses his card, it's not even like she can just claim him as like her pet or her meat or something. Like they don't
Hmm.
care. Like they're coming to hunt you. And that that was insane. And she makes a good point. Like they won't sabotage everyone's card because then people won't come
Hmm.
back. And how do you?
Exactly.
So you have to just sabotage some of the cards.
And they know from the very beginning that they're not fucking around because they see a guy like crawling to a control station to ask for like a card because
His
his
like
card
knees
must
blown
have
off or
disappeared.
something.
Yeah, he's dragging himself and asking for help, and they're like, oh, and then all of a sudden here comes somebody else. Tag, tag, boom, boom, and they drag him off like fresh
Blew
meat.
his brain out. Now they got meat.
Crazy.
And that's crazy. They don't care what species you are. They don't care if they know you're sentient. They do not give a shit.
Hmm.
All they know is if you don't have that card, you are meat.
Yeah,
Gross.
scary mission. And Ava has to make a decision there. She's like, well, do I leave the car behind
Which
or do
she
I
would
leave the
never
cargo
do.
behind? But she would, well, no. And that's where we get to know she's like, oh, wait a second. No, she feels very strongly about this
Right, because
person.
she tries to buy him from the woman
Hmm.
who's decided that he's her meat. She tries to buy him, and the woman's like, "It's not worth that." And Ava's like, "He is to
To
me."
me. Yeah, so cute. I love it.
Was another good mission. But do you see now, like, why this makes sense is like episodes?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah, totally. As an episodic show, absolutely. I would
I
watch
wonder,
it.
I wonder if
I
she
would
sold the
love to watch
rights.
this. I'll wait. I'll wait. I would love to. Yeah, I think it's so funny.
Folk gotta eat. I mean, that's how I feel about eating meat. Like, I don't care what animals people eat. I feel like if you can eat one, you can eat them all. But, I know. I'm sorry, Nikki. I don't even really
I
eat
feel
meat like
really
that.
strongly about octopus. It's a meat that I will
I
because I
think
like
I
them and I
think that
respect them.
I think that if octopus wanted to, they could take over the world and they just don't want to.
Like it looks messy up there, messy and dry. No thanks.
Yeah, it's like with Pacific Rim, we keep looking to the sky for the aliens, but they're really in the sea.
Mm,
But yeah, no, octopus they could totally take over if they wanted to. They just don't feel like it. But yeah, I feel like, whatever if you can eat one animal, you can eat them all. But this place takes it to a whole other level. Like we don't have, cows driving cars and being like, "Hey, bro, like relax. Like I'm trying to get to work." And then you just shoot it and make burgers out of it. Because people don't think about it. Like in our country, we eat
Not
beef
the
regularly,
cows.
but for some people, you don't eat beef because cows are sacred. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, how do you decide who's right? People eat pork and pigs are smart, but we're not supposed to eat dolphins. But then it's like, well, why not?
It ended up in my can though. No,
Oh.
no, I don't want to eat dolphins
Or
either.
like people feel very strongly about eating horses here, but in other places they're meat.
Hmm.
And so I just kind of feel like, well, if you can eat one, you can eat them all. I don't eat any of them really, but you know, if a
Yeah.
chicken talked to me, I might not eat that specific chicken, but it's
I feel like
cousins.
it would ruin it for. I would ruin it for me. I'd be like, oh, but what if they could talk too? And they just like have an awakened jet. Ah, yeah, no.
Oh
That
god.
that's so fun. That was a really fun mission.
That just made me realize at the end of Little Mermaid, Ariel, that's a real big betrayal. Like she's running off with this
Oh
family
yeah.
that eats all her friends. Anyway, whatever.
She was in the kitchen with, yeah, she was in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Or
that's a
Sebastian was. He told her, he's like, hey,
that's a pretty
guess
huge
what?
betrayal on her part. But
Yeah.
anyway,
She
enough
didn't
about
like
the
go
Little
like on a
Mermaid.
Chick-fil-A campaign and like switch them all to land creatures.
I know, right? Like eat more goat.
Uh, yeah.
Anyway, Alicia says if a horse is the only option, Mr. Ed getting grilled. So my husband used to be vegetarian and he went from one extreme to the other. He went from vegetarian to like eating horse in France. And I was just like, bro, how is that even possible? Because
Not a horse.
yeah, he totally apparently it's really good, like lean meat. It's really good for you.
Yeah, so I've heard. That
Yeah.
and
I
like
mean, I'm not
ostrich.
personally gonna try it, but if that's what you want, hey, I'm not gonna stop you.
When in Dothrak.
When in Dothraki, do as the Dothraki.
Yeah.
That was quite the tangent. Oh, so
So
yeah.
Ava's family
Oh, the pro
are full
arc.
of assholes.
Talk about the pro arc.
Hmm.
That's like the most important thing. The pro arc are these ancient aliens. Nobody knows what
Hmm.
they look like. Nobody knows who they are, but they've created gates. And these gates allow people to travel through universes, basically.
Alicia,
And
you'd like this because it's similar to The Expanse, where they find all the gateways.
also, Alicia likes bison. I've heard bison's also really good lean meat. Um, the pro arc is kind of the underlying thing that the fridge is looking for pro arc technology. So we don't
Hmm.
know who the pro arc are. All we know is they were around, they left behind a shit ton of tech, and that tech is the reason why people are able to travel the way they travel through space. And um, there's clues that what the fridge is looking for is related to the Proarch. And there's a federation called BOFA, which makes me laugh every single time because I think both of these nuts. And every single time I read BOFA, I think both of these nuts. Um, Usually BOFA shows up and takes any Proarch tech before anyone can do anything with it. And the fridge is after
Right.
that. Um, leave the Miles Irk, that first scientist she picks up, is like a Proarch expert,
Hmm.
and Leroy is a Proarch fanatic. He's just very interested in them, and so we find out that what they're looking for, the a big part of this is all about Proarch tech and finding it and either keeping it out of the hands of the fridge because it could be dangerous. Should we say what it is that she found, or is that too spoilery? Should it be a surprise?
I think it should be a surprise.
Okay.
Read for yourself.
Okay.
I like because I see this in like other sci-fi books too. Is just like idea of there being some like ancient species or ancient like culture that basically made all the other things possible, and we've lost all their knowledge, and we're trying to like constantly to get to where they were to get their advancement, but like we are not able to comprehend that. Actually, it gives me like a little bit of Binti, a little bit of Stormlight Archive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, something else that I was just reading too. I can't remember. I like Who Fears Death.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
the ancient culture that had like the technology, and they're not able
Right. Something
to access
happened.
that
We don't know
information. Something
what.
happened. They
And
did
we've
be
now
they
lost
probably
information, but
destroyed.
we have
Yeah,
the tech.
yeah, and they probably destroyed themselves with the tech. It was the
Hmm.
warning, right? Like you don't want to achieve this level of ability with tech.
I also really like in stories that take place with space travel when they have some means of going from universe to universe that isn't just like super hyper speed that would turn you into jelly.
Right.
So like I like that there were these gates. Nobody knows what they are or why they work, but they
Hmm.
work. And with them you can just travel. And it was one of the things that the MCU did with the jumps in
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
The idea of these jump points that take you to this other place, I actually really like that because if something's taking millions and millions of light years, like how fast are you really moving? It starts to kind
Exactly.
of take you out of it, to try and
Hmm.
if you start think at least for me, if I start thinking about that too much, it takes me out of it. So when you have something like the gates or jump points where it's like, yeah, just for some reason it works. We don't know why, and I'm fine with that. I don't need to know
Hmm.
how everything works, but just knowing that there's this tech and whatever, it just works. I mean, think about if somebody from like the year 1400 saw us FaceTiming each other. You'd be like, how the fuck does that work? I don't know.
Hmm.
I can't
Witchcraft.
explain it. Right. It's like I can't ludicrous speed.
Uh,
Yeah. You'd be like, I don't know. It just works, and they'd have to because how would you explain a thousand years
mhm.
of or not thousands, hundreds. We're only in
Yeah,
2021.
my
Anyway.
friends always talk about like, what is the one thing that you can bring back to an ancient, like to like maybe like just not ancient, but just like 150 or like 300 years ago that would just blow people's minds. Like, what is the one thing that if they had would absolutely change the direction of technology? And it's always an interesting question to go back and forth and think what that thing could be.
Hmm.
Like, what happens if you bring a lighter back and then the lighter runs out, though, right? Like, a lighter is one of those things. I used to
Right.
always talk to another friend about, like, you would have been burnt for a witch if anybody ever saw you take out your contacts and put them back in. Just imagine.
Cool.
No.
I'm black, so traveling that far back, I'd bring a semi-automatic rifle and lots of bullets. You're not getting me.
Ah.
Ah, you'd have to get like some camping related shit, something that can
Hmm.
last without electricity.
Yeah.
That is like fun, like thought project. So one of my friends had asked me that, and I was like, definitely some type of concealable knife and some type of semi-automatic weapon that I know won't last, but will at least give me a head start.
Help me establish dominance.
Yeah, right. To tuck that under my skirts. Now what are they gonna do with all their spears? Ratatata.
Ah, I love
But
it.
can you, but you imagine you just go back with a tube of bacitracin. Like that alone. It's
Yeah,
like
geez.
just not dying of an infection would be a big deal. It's some hand soap,
Hmm.
like that orange dial antibacterial soap. I'd bring a big bottle of that.
Oh, you'd be a hero.
Any what did you think of the opera?
Oh, I wanted to watch it for real.
That made me think of
Yes, The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element. Yes, thank you for filling
Hmm.
that in for me because
Yep.
it just
Oh,
jumped
that's a
out of my
shirt I should
head.
have worn. Damn,
Ah, yes, we're space themed today. I got my NASA shirt.
Star Wars.
Yeah, it reminded me of The Fifth Element, this opera that can't be performed by a human. And I
Hmm.
was like, damn, I'd like to hear or see that. That was also cool. And it
Hmm.
was really funny how the rich audience members are like, oh, that one lady who's like, oh, I didn't wear anything valuable. They always come rob us at these shows. It's part of the show. And it's like, what the
Yeah.
hell kind of show is this where you like
Oh,
fake
they're
get
kind of rich
robbed?
people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we just fake get robbed for fun.
Oh my gosh. It's a
Insanity.
quaint. Oh, here you go.
Humans don't have the right vocal cords for the cool space songs. It's true. We
They
don't have
don't.
the
And this one
range.
was like very much immersive because it was like there was smell involved, there was
Right.
smell
If
and
you have a
colors
Quenian
and
audience,
oh
smell would be a
man.
huge part of it. Yeah.
Hmm. Very cool.
Very cool indeed.
Yeah, and then the hijinks of it, like all the other aspects of it, like is this part of the show? They're doing the opera, and then somebody comes to kidnap the opera singer. But
And
like then there's also like built into the show that this other thing is going to happen, and everybody's trying to figure out what the hell is actually going on. Oh, I thought that was really like one of the funnier moments in the show. That and then when they're in the jail and they're like, "But who are you? What have you done?"
right. That was another point where I was like, where the hell is this going? Like
Yeah,
I feel like all the way up until the end, I was like, where is this going? Like I really don't know.
yeah, I like that about it. I like that a lot about it.
I
I was
didn't
gonna
put
say, I mean, I guess like there are some things that we can't really talk about because they are spoilery.
yeah.
Um, but we
And we
should
do
talk a
want
little
people to
bit
read.
about Ava's, her Eva's family
Oh
a
yeah, her
little bit,
family. Go ahead.
right? Well, there's her sister who is missing
Maddie.
for most of, yeah, who's missing for most of the book, and then her dad Pete, who is like somewhere between like a used car salesman and like I dabble lightly in crime if it suits my needs. And, and he's a really great character because he gives you a lot of insight into Ava and um yeah, but we're anti-spoiler, Alicia. She's like, don't mind spoilers. Um and just gives you a lot of insight into like kind of like her foundational personality and like where it came from. Uh, he, I don't know, he keeps popping up in a way, and she's has this conflict of like, do I want his approval or do I not give a fuck at all because I know that he's a criminal.
Right.
Um, yeah, Pete's an interesting character in the way that their kind of power dynamics keep flipping throughout the book.
Hmm.
Like at one moment he has the upper hand, and at one moment, it's her again, and the coin is constantly being flipped.
And her poor mom, who's just at
Somewhere back
home,
on Earth,
just like, man, my kids have not called in a while.
yeah. Oh, so dangerous. That's
Yeah.
New York.
There's an ambulance going by. Yeah, you know, like the
Yeah.
sounds of New York indeed. Yeah, I felt bad for her mother because she has no idea what her kids are up to. No
Hmm.
idea at all. She's just home waiting for them to call. They disappear for years at a time, months and years, and she just has to wait. And then Pete is obviously a mess. Her
Hmm.
parents are not together. She mentions leaving her mom to go live with Pete, her
Yeah.
dad.
She wanted
And
adventure. She didn't want to stay on Earth. She wanted adventure. She wanted to like, traipse across the galaxy.
right.
Understandable.
which yeah, it sounds fun. And then you start to get
Mhm.
older and you're like, fuck, man, I
Yeah.
could have just had a whatever farm on planet such and such.
Hmm. Yeah.
Can a Quenian and a
Oh,
human procreate? What would that look like?
I
It'd
don't
be an
know. I was
abomination.
wondering. I feel like it, like maybe it's just not even an option. So
Yeah, I feel like it'd be an abomination. Like Danny's baby
yeah.
with the skin falling off.
Ugh.
Well,
Well,
that's chilling effect.
that's chilling effect. No, this is such a fun read.
Valerie
Pick it
Valdes.
up.
It
It's a kind
is.
of book that if you like,
It's a
especially
good.
even if, 'cause I know a lot of people were talking about being slower readers, and it's like this is cool because you can pick it up and then come back and you're just like, oh my god, like the nature of the book is that you can you can kind of jump in at any time. And like if you don't have time to read a physical copy, I highly recommend getting the audiobook because
Hmm.
it plays like a old time radio show even, like that nature.
Hmm.
You can listen to a chapter and then take a break and then come back. It's yeah, so fun. I like it.
It is really fun. Our upcoming events, if you are a Game of Thrones, Song of
Dun,
Ice and
da, da, da.
Fire fan, we do monthly trivia. Our next trivia, December 12th. I think our theme is winter.
Sure.
Okay. Um December 12th, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have DJ Radar Ellis again because that was fun, and
Woo!
we'll stream on Twitch again because that was really fun. You don't have to dress up this time. I will likely be dressed up because I'm
We will be
me.
dressed up.
Yeah, we'll be dressed up. Our next book club book, which I don't have in front of me, it's in the other room. Uh, the fifth season by N.K. Jemisin,
The
who
one that
was
got it all started.
this book was the whole reason we started our book club, and we had to force ourselves to not make it an N.K. Jemisin stan club. So
Hmm.
we are finally getting into N.K. Jemisin's the fifth season. I highly recommend reading all three of the books. We're only going to talk about the first one. That would be January 16th.
The
Um,
answer to that question is maybe,
by winter,
Alicia.
does that mean the North and its histories too? Maybe. So bone up.
Tales of Old Man, maybe.
Maybe. House Stark histories? Maybe.
Hmm.
Bone up on Song of Ice and Fire, winter knowledge. We'll pull from the
Shout out to
show
our
and the
friends at
books.
Radio Westeros who have really good episodes about the North in winter.
Yes, absolutely. I should I should mine them for questions. Hey guys, I might mine you for questions.
Mhm.
We did a trivia with them last winter. Um, I wrote some pretty good questions for that actually. So I might dig into that. So
Yeah,
that's December 12th. January 16th is book club.
I'm
And
so excited to
so
talk. I'm excited to reread that book.
me too. I
Oh
love
my
rereading
gosh,
it.
oh, so
Um,
good.
it's just such a good story and just so well written. And I'm really gonna have to fight hard to not just read the entire trilogy. Um,
I know. I'm gonna want to do that for sure.
yeah,
I
we're
love it because it was such a good introduction to like she has such an interesting writing style and like her
mhm.
voice that she uses for that book in particular are just oh man. I remember I was having a hard time with it at first. I was like, what? I don't this is a weird writing style. Okay. I was like, all right. And then she wrote like a sentence that I consider to be perfect, like in like the third page, and I was just like sold and just like I just let myself relax into it and it was oh so great. So
We
great.
are also planning to cover Wheel of Time. That
Ba,
show's
ba, ba,
coming out.
ba.
Nikki has not read the books. I have read some of the books, so I haven't read all of them. And I'm on an ambitious reread of the first book. Um,
I may start that too now that we're in
yeah,
between. I guess yeah. Actually, I'm in between books right now.
I'm
Ooh,
not.
because
I have
I
like
just finished the first Mistborn, and so now I was going to go into the second Mistborn. But maybe I'll do Wheel of
Wheel of
Time
Time.
in between. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so
Okay.
I've read some of it. I have not finished that. It's like 15 books. I have not finished all of them. I've only read a few. But I'm the first season is 8 episodes.
Hmm.
Nikki and I are going to start watching it, and we will cover that for the podcast. I think that'll be
Yep.
probably podcast alone, not video, because
Hmm.
that's a lot, and I have to edit it all. Um, so look out for that. Follow us on social
And
media if you want those types of updates.
yeah, I think we're
Our
also going to do an episode. Oh, sorry, a quick episode of
House of the
House of
Dragon.
Dragon.
Yes, so we can
Yes.
dive into some fire and blood stuff. Um, so follow us for updates on social media, on Instagram. If you want just the book club, it's Wine on an Empty Stomach. For a little bit of everything, Game of Thrones, and just our speculative fiction book club, A Thousand Eyes and One. This is the handle. Facebook as well, A Thousand Eyes and One. And on Twitter, we are Thousand Eyes One, ONE. So follow us. All our updates are there. If you want to go back to old episodes, I post them on thousandeyespodcast.com. That's just literally a page to put all of the old episodes so you can go back and listen to
Hmm.
anything you want to listen to and get to know us. Um, so that's what we have planned for the future. Hoping that you'll join us for trivia and for the next book. Please, please, please read Fifth Season. It is so, so good. Even if
Yes,
you
we
don't
got
join us for the
plenty
stream,
of
just
time.
read it anyway. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have like 2 months and
2
it's not
months.
super long. So
It is
I
riveting,
highly
and it will make you pick up the next book.
absolutely, absolutely. You're gonna love it. Please read it. Um, and we'll see you next month for trivia, those of you who are our Game of Thrones homies. So that's it for today's Wine on an Empty Stomach. I'm Tanya,
I'm Nikki.
and we are both Wine on an Empty Stomach and A Thousand Eyes in One. And we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us today.
Bye.